Few canals pass through such a huge contrast in surroundings as the little-known Caldon Canal, a 17-mile branch off the summit level of the Trent and Mersey. It goes from the industrial ruins of Etruria in the heart of the potteries to the peace and beauty of the Churnet Valley, which runs down from the foothills of the Peak District towards the Midlands Plain. The Caldon parts company from the Trent and Mersey at the British Waterways Maintenance Facility at Etruria Summit. This early section is quite pleasant as the heart of Etruria has been redeveloped from the original industrial sprawl. As it sweeps round towards the first set of locks past the newly built Industrial Museum, the canal is overlooked by a statue of the great canal builder James Brindley, who surveyed the canal route in 1772. He is shown standing with a theodolite, suggesting that the popular notion that he did everything by eye is less than accurate. The Bedford Street staircase locks are a two-rise staircase, the only example of this type of lock in North Staffordshire.
Woman will retire inside before he gets soaked again.
And this one? Yeah. 2 hands.
Yes.
Because they tend to gallop away with you if you're not careful. And it's not connecting with them.
We don't want anyone galloping away with you, do we, Peter?
No. As soon as we get given
We travel some 7 miles to the summit pool, where we moor for the night, but the details of this part of the canal will have to wait until we return on Tuesday, when hopefully it will not be raining. Peter, however, seems quite happy getting wet inside and out.
Morning, Chris.
Oh, hello there. When did you get up?
Oh, just a few minutes ago.
Splendid.
Sunday morning is fine and tranquil. In spite of ideal boating weather, no fog or high winds, you will notice from time to time some, shall we say, careless navigation.
Did you have sufficient red wine to get off? Did you have sufficient red wine to get off to sleep all right? Not yet, no, I'm still waiting.
Cheerio, Peter.
Our first obstruction to sea room, which we safely negotiate, is an old gear wheel full of concrete. It formed the base of an old railway swing bridge. Passing through the Endon Basin, we can see the Stoke-on-Trent Boat Club moorings, but our destination is Park Lane, where water will be taken on.
Enjoying your breakfast, Peter?
Yeah, great. Richard's a wonderful cook. Tell Gwen you ought to do breakfast every morning.
Oh, this is nice.
Sorry, Chris.
Who's at the helm, Arthur?
Robert. You got to do all his toilets, is it?
You sling a rope over?
Yeah.
Robert, are there any more for you, Sam?
Couldn't you wait, Arthur?
Couldn't you wait, Arthur?
Couldn't you wait?
You've got a lot of pressure there, I must say. He's not.
You can't have it, but it's just something else to wash up.
The bridge at Park Lane is deceptively low on the offside and has claimed several pieces of boat superstructure, but not ours.
Little thing. Come on, keep up.
So who was driving?
As we approach the first of the Hazelhurst locks, there is a very fine example of the iron founder's art in the form of the towpath bridge. Also to the right is the start of the Leek branch, which we will be exploring tomorrow.
Stay there, please, Arthur.
Called the sideways approach.
You can see a very alert Robert making sure that he is not too close to the rear of the lock, as it is quite possible to damage the rudder if it gets caught on the sill of the canal lock as the water level goes down. When the Leek branch was first added at about 1800, the two branches met further on, with the main branch carrying straight on via a three-chamber staircase down to the village of Denford below the embankment. This arrangement became something of a bottleneck for commercial traffic on the canal, so the staircase was closed. The junction moved a mile back towards the potteries, and the staircase replaced by a flight of three separate locks, where we are now. The lowered main branch was then led through the embankment under the Hazelhurst aqueduct.
Good boy. Morning.
Morning.
One mile after the Hollybush pub at Denford, a hostelry which we will return to tomorrow, the canal turns south and plunges into the valley of the River Chenet, the loveliest part of this whole route. The whole length of the valley is fairly narrow, and at times there is barely room for the river, the railway and the canal between its steep, heavily wooded banks. At this northern end of the valley, the river and the canal arrive together at the village of Cheddleton. The first buildings of the village are a pair of flint mills, driven by water wheels from a river-supplied mill race. The mills are being restored, and one of them can usually be seen working, but not while we were there. The second mill requires major repairs to its water wheel's main shaft, which sheared some time in the past. The hand-operated crane was used to unload the flint directly into the top of the canal-side ovens, where it was burnt to make it easier to grind. It was then dug out of the base of the ovens for transfer to the grinding mills. The finished product was used as a whitener in the pottery industry. After dropping down through another 2 locks, the canal is joined by the railway, which enters the valley from the north via the short tunnel near Cheddleton Heath. Although the railway accompanies the canal all the way down the valley from Cheddleton, for half of that distance it is disused. But at this northern end, at Cheddleton, it has been restored by the steam enthusiasts of the Churnet Valley Railway Company Limited. They currently run steam trains north from Cheddleston to Leekbrook. They have recently reopened the line down the valley as far as Consell Forge. It is not every canal where you can hear a steam whistle and catch that distinctive pungent smell of steam and hot metal that signifies real railway engines. "100 years ago, the valley was a hive of industry with lime kilns, iron forges, flint mills and quarries. But now it has all ended.
He's rocking gently, actually.
What do you think of it?
That's brilliant.
You enjoying it? Enjoying this trip?
Yes.
Definitely.
You do it again?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I was invited.
The river and canal part company once more. River level upstream is controlled by a large weir at Consell, and the canal is entered through another stop lock, although this one is very seldom used, unlike that at Oak Meadow Ford. Although the valley is now wide enough to permit the river and canal their own separate beds, it is still narrow by normal standards. Nowhere is this more apparent than at the derelict railway station at Consell. The railway is so close to the canal here that in order to construct a shelter for its passengers, the railway company had to build it cantilevered over the canal. Through the Consell new locks, and our peaceful journey continues with Arthur's strong arm on the tiller. The next bridge down is Cherry Eye Bridge. It is a really beautiful, strangely shaped arch in an idyllic setting. The stonework is protected from the ropes of horse-drawn boats, not by iron posts, as is fairly common, but by shaped planks of very old oak. These have certainly been well used, but whether or not they are the originals, there is no way to tell. It obviously made sense to fit sacrificial and easily renewable protection to the stonework. Incidentally, the name Cherry Eye apparently came from the affliction of sore eyes suffered by the local iron ore miners of the Churnet Valley in the last century.
Oh, bugger off, you silly bugger.
We took heed of the warnings and turned prior to Frog Hall Tunnel. After the short Frog Hall Tunnel, the canal comes to an end at Frog Hall Wharf. The basin here is overshadowed by a huge bank of lime kilns, which were the original raison d'etre for the Caldon. Limestone was quarried at Caldon Low, some 4 miles above Frog Hall, then brought to the wharf by a series of tramways. At the wharf it was burnt before being loaded onto the boats for transport to the ironworks back along the canal. Although signs of a canal can be seen continuing south from Frog Hall, these are limited to empty embankments and the occasional well-built stone bridge parapet. Much of the Caldon extension to Utoxeter has been filled in, at least in part, and has been used as the bed of the railway. However, considering that the Caldon is such a haven of peace and quiet, and that just 4 miles further down the valley is the theme park of Alton Towers, perhaps it is just as well that the Caldon Canal ends where it does, in the peace of the Frog Hall Wharf, some 17 miles from Etreria. With skill and precision, Martin guides his vessel into the Consul New Locks on our way back to Consul Forge, where we will moor for the night. We catch up with the train shunting to the front of the carriages for the last journey back to Cheddleston, and find the Black Lion, where most of us will enjoy a steak supper. One of us even enjoyed another steak for his suite.
Oh, I'm missing a genuine tonic.
So just wait.
Oh, right.
We even explored the steps leading to the nearest main road at Wetley Rock, some distance away.
All the way from America.
There's a bit of shag there too,
Aromatic tobacco, absolutely delightful. Sunset it's called.
Who did that?
Another lovely calm day as we travel from Consell Forge to Hazelhurst Locks and up the Leek branch. About 1.5 miles from Consell Forge we come to the parting of the ways. The river bends to the right and we enter the canal again through the Oakmead Ford Locks.
Thank you, Martin.
Cheerio.
Cheek by jowl, the Churnet, the Caldon and the railway pass through the narrowest section of the river valley. There is not even room for a road, which makes for a really peaceful journey for the next 5 miles or so. This is one of the loveliest valleys in this or any part of the country.
You've got some good wildlife pictures.
He tried, but he didn't catch them. Oh dear.
Right, Mr. Daniels,
Normally
please.
briefing, please.
Normally when you're using the tiller, you can push it right across without any encumbrance. Unfortunately, Clifton was standing there, so the choice was either steer the boat or put him in the canal.
I think a pretty clear choice.
So I decided to
I was only obeying orders.
Sorry,
was
would you,
told
say, would you say that again?
Jump ashore with the what's it? What do we got? The painter, and make fast.
So how did it come to be round the propeller?
because I was unable to steer the boat.
Hold on, start again.
Richard,
Jumped off the boat with the rope and then let go.
no, Richard's rear end swung out into the middle, and then the rope wasn't long enough for me to hang on any longer. It's a quick swing.
Do you think this is good enough evidence, my lord?
I think it's fairly conclusive. Someone's cocked something up somewhere.
They quite often take it straight in the water to give it a dousing to make it more pliable.
You know, that was a pretty lousy trick giving that a crust.
That's right.
You
It'll
can't
be in
get
the water
it,
soon,
you can't
poor
get it
thing.
down. It goes halfway down, comes all the way back again.
Choked to death.
It's not like a raven.
I think it's a raven.
The fact there are not many hens around.
Mind your camera.
Let's hold on to the crutch.
Oh!
We arrive back at the Hazelhurst New Junction and turn left up the Leek Arm, or at least try to.
It's Paddy doing all the work, and
Need any more help on the rope? Do a bit of pulling, Paddy.
Go on, guys, pull.
Ryan, they're coming up on you.
The two branches of the canal run parallel to each other along the valley side, but at different levels as the main line has just risen through the 3 Hazelhurst locks.
Sorry, can't hear you. Is it this side of the aqueduct or the other side? I thought it would be nearer if we go the other side and more on the other side of the bank. I don't know. You're the experts.
At a narrow point of the valley, the Leek
Hold on.
branch takes a right angle turn and is carried across the valley on a huge embankment, crossing the main canal on the Hazelhurst aqueduct.
Right.
Go on the left-hand side.
Waiting for you.
You're not still eating, are you?
We couldn't keep up with you.
Ah.
It's a long boat, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, lovely. That's fine mooring. Hold on.
Let's hold on for the crunch.
Yeah. Whoa.
After lunch we cruise through some very tranquil countryside decorated with bluebell woods, and we can see an old Victorian hospital on our right before arriving at the tunnel pool. The tunnel, which is a masterpiece of Rennie architecture, was recently renovated by the unlikely method of removing all the soil above it, carrying out the repairs and replacing the ground above.
Coming to the winding, and they're just turning.
After the tunnel, we reach the end of the navigable section and turn round, but a short walk towards the town of Leek reveals the real purpose of the branch, which is to feed water from the Rudyard Reservoir, built in 1799, to the Caldon Canal. When on holiday, many years ago, near the reservoir, Lockwood Kipling proposed to his girlfriend Alice MacDonald, and when their son was born months later, they called him Rudyard.
So everything you say is being recorded to be played back in the Rotary Club next dinner.
So we found ourselves a mooring and enjoyed a well-lubricated barbecue.
I've had a verbal diarrhea.
Yes, but
That's
logorrhea is a
logorrhea.
slightly more sophisticated way of saying verbal diarrhea.
Who's got verbal diarrhea, Peter? You weren't talking about Mary, were
No,
you?
no, I wasn't.
Are you sure?
Unfortunately, she's got a very bad case, and it's very sad, and it has been diagnosed just this evening, of logorrhea.
Yes. And what does logorrhea mean?
Well, it's a bad case of verbal diarrhea.
You know how much this is going to cost you?
Which means you're on the phone every night, all night, talking endlessly.
Oh,
Until
really?
you fall asleep exhausted.
You get hold of the knob. This is most important. No, seriously, no, come on. You get hold of the knob. You push it hard.
Stop again! You push it. You can't hold the camera
No,
steady.
come on, slowly. And you push it as hard as you can and turn it.
Turn it.
Push. As hard. You must push it as hard as you can and turn it slowly to the right. You hold it in
In what?
You get hold of the is it the passata? Pisat, no. Deposit. The pizza starter. The little button that pizzas.
Get hold of the little button.
Large pizzas, little ones. Pizza it. Sparks fly out. No, seriously, come on, wait. And the flame comes up. Hold it in as long as you can.
I'm amazed.
And hold it as long as you can, and then slowly release it, the knob,
Absolutely.
and then the flame should stay steady. They should stay steady and on. If they stay on, you've cracked it. If it goes off, for Christ's sake, start pushing it again.
Morning, Peter. Morning, Paddy. You're doing a great job there. Steering a straight course. On your head.
Gotcha!
On Tuesday morning we wend our way back to Etruria, firstly negotiating the 5 locks at Stockton Brook, taking us down from the Summit Pond where we had moored on Saturday night. Look closely for the ghostly apparition of Arthur between these locks, followed closely by the Victorian waterworks. Arthur materialises again to operate one of the 2 new drawbridges at Norton Green. After Engine Lock, we enter the area of derelict industrial buildings, but after the new Downfield Bridge, which carries the A53, new housing has been developed at Milton, and clearly the canal is a feature of the back gardens.
All done in the best possible taste.
The Foxley Public House is situated on a bend in the waterway. This was once a branch-off point for the local ironworks. The branch is still water-filled in parts, but adjacent to the canal itself it has been filled in and now forms the pub car park.
Such precision.
After the expert negotiation of Botany Bridge, one of the original bridges on the canal turned left, but we didn't.
Back in.
Got a couple of local yokels who are yelling encouragement.
Can't like myself.
Yes, they're really being very helpful, very supportive.
Just keep pushing
Not
harder.
We get it out.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, man. Hey.
Right.
No, we missed that one.
Left hand down a bit. Try again.
It's not going to be a bit tight.
alternative method.
And now for the infamous Ivy House Bridge. The bridge requires a British Waterways key to operate it, and is often the cause of much frustration to both boaters and motorists when the operator does not read the instructions inside the lid of the operating box carefully enough. The bridge will not lift unless both the road barriers are properly down, and the barriers will not lift unless the bridge is fully down, and the operator cannot remove the key unless the bridge is down and the barriers are up and the lid of the box is closed. Needless to say, we experience no problem at all. In amongst the industrial wasteland we see examples of brick bottle ovens, and even a notice inviting us to visit Johnson Brothers' factory shop, long since closed.
Morning.
Well done.
A long run.
Right, yeah, we looked on that scale, so we've done all that.
Our journey finishes through the lovely parks of Hanley, right in the middle of Stoke-on-Trent, and the final Bedford Street locks, which you will recall as the only remaining staircase on the canal. Because the lower chamber is smaller than the one above, the extra water from the top lock will overflow into the channel with great force. As we return past the statue of James Brindley, we all thank Martin for organising such a splendid trip.